Okay, so the Women's Super League has returned from its mid-season winter break. Chelsea were playing Manchester United at home at Stamford Bridge. Decent crowd of around 28,000, so it was a decent atmosphere and a decent crowd. Now, the game. Very obvious that the gap between these two teams right now. Manchester United were dreadful. The fact it's finished 3-1, I think, flatters Manchester United. I think Chelsea will be disappointed with the fact they were 2-0 up, cruising, in control, could have been 6-0 up, and got sloppy and allowed Manchester United to get a goal and hang in the game for the majority of the second half and towards the end of the first half. Chelsea played themselves into trouble and nearly played themselves out of a win. This scoreline should not have been as close as 3-1. It should have been a cricket score. And while we're seeing less and less of these, one-sided matches in the women's game as it's getting more professional and the quality level is improving, lopsided results. While this isn't a lopsided result on the score sheet, in reality, it could have been 6, 7, 8 goals to Chelsea. Manchester United lucky to get a goal in this game and to still be hanging in there at the end. But game itself. Now the first goal, Chelsea nearly butcher it a little bit. They're very over-eager, they're very keen. Now, it's very obvious very early on that they are the team on top. They're dictating the pace of the game, possession, intensity. Now, Lauren James does score the goal, and it is a very, very good finish. Low, going in on the right-hand side of the box, rescuing the situation where the attack had become scrappy. They were trying to rush the play. They couldn't sort their feet out in the box. It comes to Lauren James, and she scores past Mary Earps. It's a very good goal. That's on 5 minutes. And then for the next 18 minutes, it's all Chelsea. Manchester United are barely touching the ball. They can't, when they get the ball, they lose it very quickly. And Chelsea are just having attack after attack after attack. They're having a lot of joy down the right, a lot of joy down the left, even through the middle. And they were just overrunning the Manchester United defence. Now, Lauren James, her second goal is better than her first. Quick-paced attack, the pace in which they distribute the ball, multiple players involved. It's quick-paced, good passing, short passing, long passing throughout the game when Chelsea were attacking, when they were in the zone and flowing well. Lauren James' second goal, as I say, very similar position to where she scores the first goal from, but with more power, more pace, and Mary Earps, I think we'll be a bit disappointed with her positioning initially for that one. But hey, it's 2-0 down. The game is gone. It should have been dead and buried. It should have been 3 or 4 or 5 at this point. Chelsea are rampant, but it's only 2-0. I think that will be disappointing for Chelsea as they weren't taking all their opportunities. And then they lose that bit of intensity for the rest of the first half, and they become sloppy at the back. They don't need to be sloppy at the back. They can just get rid of move the ball quickly, and they linger on the ball. They're sloppy on the ball, and it allows Manchester United to still hang in the game. Now, Ladd scores the goal on 42 minutes, and this comes after a spell of Chelsea being sloppy and losing that intensity, losing that focus, and losing that direction and control of the game. The game should have been out of sight, and it wasn't. Now, Ladd scores the goal, picking up off a block, first player to that second phase ball, and slots it home. Great support play in the box. So the first chance is blocked, and you want one of your players to get on the ball before the defending team can. So winning that second ball was crucial. And Manchester United are back in the game, a game they shouldn't even be close to being involved in. Really, they were terrible. But there was this little purple patch where Chelsea allowed them back into the game by being sloppy. So it's 2 and a half time. Now, the second half didn't have the same energy and intensity and pace about it. Chelsea and Manchester United were both equally sloppy. Both sides were creating chances, but you could still see that Chelsea were the more dangerous side. But the longer the game went on at 2-1, you're thinking Manchester United could steal a draw here, like a smash and grab, get a point, which they don't even deserve. And that was a danger. Chelsea was still not putting the game to bed. They were still sloppy. And this, I think commentary picked up, but it was like an early season game. You come off a mid-season break, play is going to be sloppy. That intensity is not going to be there. And it did seem like an early season kind of game. where players are easing themselves into the season. Players looked a little bit, I wouldn't say unfit, but they weren't necessarily at the races. You could see that the fatigue was kicking in the second half. The pace of the game drops off. There are still lots of chances being created, but the pace of the game drops off, that intensity drops off. And then Lauren James pops up with her hat-trick goal in 85 minutes. And the scoreline is comfortable for Chelsea, but it flatters Manchester United. It does sum up a very positive performance by Chelsea for the most part, but as I say, the second half didn't have the same level of intensity from Chelsea that it did in the first, and both sides were a little bit sloppy. It was a bit more stop-start. I think the substitutions and the timing of the substitutions had an impact on the flow of the game, and this is something that FIFA, UEFA, the FA, and the various governing bodies need to look at in regards to having 5 substitutes now. I think that is completely unnecessary. I think we can go back to having 3 subs. I don't think we will, but the amount of substitutions does impact the flow of games. Now, the fact you can only do it in 3 select batches is interesting, but there's the ability to have 5 subs. That does impact the flow of games, in my opinion, in a negative sense. Now, some of these substitutions will have impacts on the game because they are fresh legs, but it does interrupt the flow of the game. Overall, the right side wins. I think Chelsea were a little bit wasteful in front of goal. They need to improve on putting in a 90-minute performance. I don't think they'll be happy with that 3-1. I think they will be a bit disappointed. Manchester United were dreadful. There is pressure mounting on this team to arrest this slide in form. They've been dropping points. They've lost more games already at this point in the season than they did in the entirety of last season in the league. There are some concerning signs that this side just aren't playing at the same level that they did last year, and they are well off the pace of where they were. So they're playing catch up. They've given their rivals like Chelsea and Arsenal a really good head start now. And when you're 10 points back of the league leaders as things stand, that makes things more difficult to mount a second half push for the title. So we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. A decent game, but I think Chelsea will be annoyed of how sloppy they were at points in this game in a commanding position, and how they nearly blew the win. They almost blew a lead. They were in a commanding position. Manchester United, not good enough. There was no intensity there. There was a lack of teamwork there. And a lack of leadership as well was very, very noticeable. But from me for now, thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will have some more content for you very, very soon.